Hello everybody, Raddad Cooks reporting live from my backyard, and this is the first episode of the Raddad Cooks live style filming. Today I came home from work a little sick, so I'm gonna be whipping up one of my all-time favorite soups, Avgolemono.
Cooking, not cleaning, we smoking and seasoning, grilling, sauteing, and chilling is the reason. Raddad Cooks, y'all.
Now, if you've never had Avgolemono soup before, it is freaking amazing. It's a real nice, rich, yet delicate chicken broth-based soup, which is thickened with a mixture of egg yolks and lemon juice. Avgolemono is actually a style of sauces or thickening agents that use the acidity of the lemons and the egg yolks. They get blended together in an emulsification, added to the soup, and slowly brought up to heat to thicken them instead of a traditional flour roux or cornstarch. But also, it is a mainstay in Greek cuisine and the soup we all know and love. But let's get started. So to whip up this soup, we're gonna need some chicken broth. You could use bouillon cubes or a base, but since I'm kind of sick, I need that medicine of the whole chicken. So for ingredients, we're gonna be using a whole chicken, a cup of rice, 3 eggs, which we're gonna separate and just use the yolks, enough water to cover that chicken up in our stock pot. And for seasonings, real basic, a little bit of bay leaf, a little bit of Italian seasoning, and then of course, some lemons. First, we're gonna get started off by cooking up the chicken. So we not only have some chicken meat for the soup, but we also have some real tasty, rich, and medicinal broth. Now you could do that in a large stock pot, boiling it for 4 or 5 hours. But if you want to get some broth quick, fast, in a hurry, Instapot is the way to go. So we're gonna get this chicken out of the bag, into the Instapot, put enough water on it to cover up our chicken, and then we're gonna let this thing pressurize and process it for about an hour and a half. This is a whole roasting chicken. It is 5.5 pounds. That should be plenty good for our soup, and maybe even have a little leftover meat for something else later. Maybe feed it to the baby for an easy dinner. Now, I'm not gonna rinse the chicken off or anything. Just gonna take it out of the package, put it right into my Instapot, dig around in there and just make sure, you know, sometimes the liver and stuff, it'll be bagged up. We're just gonna go ahead and chuck that in there for some extra flavor and goodies, but if it wasn't a bag or one of those maxi pad looking things, you're gonna wanna remove that. Next, we're gonna top it off with water to get up and above that chicken. This 5.5 pound bird in my Instapot took about 8 cups to get to the max liquid line. Go ahead and put that lid on, make sure your vent's closed, and then fire up the Instapot. The max time on mine is 45 minutes, so it's gonna take 2 rounds of 45 minutes to get this chicken fully cooked and to get that broth rendered. See you guys in 45. Alrighty, so our first 45 minutes of cook time is done. We're gonna go ahead and open up our vent, get this open, shake the chicken up a little bit with some tongs, and then we're gonna hit it with some Italian seasoning. We're gonna put 2 bay leaves in there, maybe about half a teaspoon of the dry Italian seasoning. Don't wanna overdo it. Look at that broth. The water's still boiling in the pot, so this is good. We didn't lose too much heat. The chicken is practically falling apart. All right. I'm thinking the way the chicken looks right now, we could probably get by with about 30 more minutes of cook time. It's just about all the way cooked. Just some of the thicker portions of the thigh and the breast need to be cooked a little bit more. So we're gonna put the lid back on this, pressurize it back up, and let it go for 30 more minutes. We'll see you in 30. So we just wrapped up our second round in the pressure cooker. Chicken by this point should be all the way cooked. Go ahead and wait for this steam to finish bending. We'll pop her open, see what we got. Gotta be careful because this stuff is very, very hot, but we're gonna get as much as our chicken out as we can into our strainer, so that way it's not flopping all over the place when we pour this through. See, that meat is just falling apart, cooked through all the way. Super duper flavorful. All the collagen and stuff's been released from all the joints and the bones. Some good stuff right here. Once we got a good amount of the chicken into that strainer, it'll be easier for us to pour the rest of the liquid through that. Be really careful doing this because these pressure cookers get insanely hot. All right, so now that I got the broth poured out of the Instapot and into this bigger pot right here, we're gonna go ahead and set our chicken to the side, let it cool a little bit before we pull it. Put it in another sort of container that will capture any liquid that continues to drain from the chicken. All right, so right now, looking at the pot, we have about 2 quarts of liquid. We wanna reduce this down till we have 1.5 quarts or 6 cups. So we wanna get this on a burner and reduce it by 25%. I wanna put this on a burner off camera and get it reducing down. While that's going on, we'll get the rest of the ingredients prepared. Now that our Instapot's freed up from chicken duty, we can get it cooking up our rice. We're gonna go 1 cup of white rice. This is basmati with 2 cups of water. And we're gonna run this for 10 minutes in the Instapot. While that rice is cooking in the Instapot, we're gonna go ahead and get our lemons and eggs ready. For lemons, I got these mammoth lemons at the grocery store. They're huge. I'm hoping to get at least 3/4 of a cup to a cup out of them. But anywhere between a 1/2 cup and a cup, depending on how lemony you would like it to be. At a minimum, you're gonna want at least 1/4 cup of lemon juice per egg yolk for the emulsification to work. All right, so we ended up getting right at about 3/4 of a cup of lemons out of that, so that's perfect. Now the eggs, we're gonna have to separate them because we just want the yolks, not the whites. So that is going to require us to have 2 different vessels, something to drain the egg into, the white, and then something to put the yolks into. So I'm just going to use this pitcher since I've already been using it for other stuff and it's already dirty. I'm going to use this bowl to catch my whites. Go ahead and crack your egg. It's always easier to crack an egg on a flat surface. You don't want to do it on the rim of something. It's just going to bust it up and get shell all up in there. So we got our egg cracked. Open it up and split it right down the middle, and then you're just gonna pour your yolk back and forth, letting a little bit of that white run off each time you do it. That's the easy way to separate an egg without having any sort of special tool or anything. Into the pitcher it goes. Now that our rice is all cooked, we can go ahead and whip up our emulsification and finish this soup up. We got our 3 egg yolks inside of a pitcher. You could do a bowl or whatever. And to that, we're going to add our 3/4 cups of lemon juice whilst blending it up with an immersion blender. The next thing to add to this emulsion is going to be 1 cup of rice. The starch in the rice is going to help hold it all together and act as a thickening agent. We're going to go put 1 cup of rice. Also, to this, we're going to add 1 cup of our broth. Once that's good and whipped up, and it becomes a frothy, bright yellow, it's ready to go into the broth. Now, if you're doing this over a stove, you want to turn the heat off and slide it off while you're doing this, because you don't want to break this emulsification that we're adding. Slowly pour it in as you're whisking. Kind of tempered those egg yolks by adding just a small amount of the warm broth into them. Kind of got some thicker rice chunks at the bottom that didn't quite get blended up all the way, but that is kind of what makes the texture of this soup so unique. All right, now that we have our Avgolemono emulsification in there, we're gonna go ahead and add our chicken. I deboned and pulled about 4 cups of the chicken. You can dice this up or as big or as little as you'd like. I kind of prefer the big chunks, not the mint stuff that looks like it came out of a can. And the last thing we have to add to this soup is going to be some rice. You could add as much or as little as you'd like. Some people like orzo. You could do orzo. But since we already have the rice cooked, I'm going to go ahead and add 1 more cup of that cooked rice into the soup. And you can see that soup is a lovely consistency. Not thin as water, but not super duper thick. It's really delicate. At this point, stick a spoon in there, taste it for seasoning. I'm not really big on salt. I'd rather add it at the table than put a bunch in there. So honestly, I think it's good how it is. Now, from this point, you go ahead, you could add a little bit of fresh dill if you'd like, or some dry dill. You just don't want to overdo it. I made some with some dry dill the other day and kind of went a little hard on the dill, so I learned my lesson. I'm going to leave it out this time, and I'm just going to have that lemon chicken goodness. When I'm sick, I like eating soup out of a coffee cup. I don't know, something about it. That is the stuff right there. Another option at the end of this is you could add a little bit more of that fresh squeezed lemon juice if you'd like to add a little bit more lemon flavor to it. But once again, like the dill, you don't want to overdo it. All the flavors in there, so they're just supposed to be real kind of not super loud and in your face. Man, that's good. I'm glad y'all got a chance to stop by today. Whip up some soup with old Raddad Cooks. Got any soup recipes out there y'all'd like to see me put together for you? Let me know down in the comments. Also, what do you guys think about this format? Do you like it better when you can see old Raddad Cooks up here whipping it up? Or do you like the faster moving tutorial type productions? Please let me know down in the comments. I'm always trying to improve my product for you guys out there. Thanks a lot, and we'll see you next time. Peace.
Thank you for tuning in, and if you love the content of this video, hit like on the way out. If you're new, become part of the Raddad Cooks ecosystem by subscribing and dinging that notification bell.